What is up, A to Z Sports live on a Wednesday. Gonna have a good show talking about three captains on Cut Watch. Ooh. And JC says no need for Snead. Snead was not a captain last year, to my recollection. Zach and I were at the captain's dinner back in August, right before the Titans season. And 7 captains were named captains that night. 3 of them are on Cut Watch this season. We will play a game of keep or cut. Obviously, there are 2 guys on your screen right there on the graphic wearing the C patch. JT, you said you have your new USA Hockey jersey on. There's no C patch on that one, is there?
No, there is not. I'm not a captain.
You're not a captain of USA Hockey?
No, just a supporter.
Just a supporter. You did have a hell of a hockey experience this past weekend.
I did.
And so as we were getting ready for the show to begin, we were messing up words and sentences. So we had decided that JT's brain is currently fried. My brain is currently scrambled. So if anybody else likes poached eggs out there or any other way to prepare your eggs, somebody else's brain, maybe Easton's brain is poached or over easy, or I don't know. Who knows?
Easton does have he does have an over easy type.
No, you know what? No. Easton's brain is definitely hard boiled.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's right.
Yeah,
that's good.
He is as stubborn as it gets. No, JT, we're gonna have a good show here talking about this. You brought this up to our attention. Now, I don't want you to spoil it yet, but there is the third captain that's on Cut Watch, and you said, I think this is actually your take on the show call is what led us to this topic.
Yes.
And so the third guy, who is the mystery guy right now, we will get to later on, but we'll talk about how Robert Salah and what his staff is doing, how they're going to create this culture, and then do these 3 guys fit what Robert Salah explained last week at his press conference. So we'll go through all of that. Then we'll play some trivia for the first time this week, and it's not very good if JT's brain is fried, my brain is scrambled. I saw somebody say Buck's brain is an egg, just in general, and Curtis says it's cracked. So eggheads, there's a lot of bald stuff going along. So there's some all types of egg correlations this morning for no random reason. So JT, tell the people what they got to do, and let's get this thing off and rolling officially.
Yeah, what's going on, guys? Good to see all of you in the A to Z chat this morning. It's been a while since last Thursday at the Senior Bowl, for me at least. I know you and Easton were on duty for the Robert Saleh press conference on that show on Friday morning, and then I decided after the work week away from home, I decided to take some time with family down in Tampa. Crazy. I went even more south from Mobile, Alabama, and it got colder, which I think is just the only time in my life that's.
But it was a good time for Tampa to be cold. Absolutely. To have an outdoor hockey game.
Absolutely. And so we went to that with my family, and it was maybe the best game I've ever been to in my entire life, and maybe it will be the best game I will ever go to in my entire life. Such a crazy experience. No, just goalie fights, just the atmosphere, just everything. Being down 5-1 to the choking Boston Bruins and coming all the way back. It was absolute cinema. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. We're here to talk about the Titans once again. Talking about that couple of players that could potentially be on Cut Watch. As Austin said, there are 2 there on the screen. I have a third one that is also a captain. I'm sure if you use process of elimination, you can probably find it before we get to it. But
there's 4 other guys that
it's not that much.
There's 5. No, there's 5. There's 5 other guys. Yes. One of them's at the Pro Bowl. One of them's your quarterback. And then there's another one who's a free agent.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the 2 left. Fans are like, get him out of here. So maybe we'll get to that.
Yes, we'll get to all of that. But before we get started, I do have to comment on one comment here. As Jack says, JT is probably rooting for Sweden in the Hockey Olympics, Mr. Bandwagon. First of all, I'm wearing a USA Hockey sweatshirt that my uncle got me. Second of all, I know Jack saw my Instagram post with literally like 10 people from my family all wearing Tampa Bay Lightning gear. Like there's no, I can't be any less of a bandwagon when I am with my entire family who are really huge Tampa Bay Lightning fans who all live in Tampa. And I'm there with them. Like that is my team because they're my family and they took me to my first hockey game. Sorry that my team has just been really good over the last decade. I picked a good time to get in with them. What can I say?
There's a Cincinnati minor league hockey team because I went to the gymnastics event in their arena and I do not remember what they're called, but I remember seeing all the signage.
They are the Cincinnati Cyclones.
Yes, the Cyclones. That's right.
They are an ECHL team, so they are like 3 steps below minor league. They're like the single A of minor league hockey.
That arena is very single A hockey.
It absolutely is. Hey, but dollar beer, dollar dog nights over there cannot be matched. I'm just going to be honest. That is the place you go with the boys if you want to create those beer towers on the side of the ice, and then when a hockey player comes over and they hit the sides of the boards and they all fall down, everyone cheers in that arena. That's the type of experience you get there. But Jeff says, JT, your team scream bandwagon. They aren't close to each other. Guess what? My family and where I've lived in my life isn't close either. Like, apologies that I have not.
You don't have to. Hey. You don't have to defend yourself. At least not right now. We can put you on trial. Maybe I won't. That could be a fun show. We're gonna find plenty of days where we have nothing to talk about in the offseason and weird gaps of the NFL calendar. Putting JT on trial, 3-person show, saying defend your fandom of these things, defend your beer choice, defend your decision making that you left your car dead after the ice storm for 8 consecutive days, which could have just ended your vehicle, but your vehicle survived. You brought it back from the dead.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I did. There was nothing else I could have really done, to be honest. Like, not go to the Senior Bowl or fix my car.
Revive your car.
Yeah.
Or have a friend, have one of your roommates just get out there and try to start it. Anyway, all right, let's get to it.
Anyways, let's get to it. Lock in, like the show. Yes. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of these shows we are bringing to you every single day. Hit that bell notification so you don't miss one whenever we end up going live. If you're on Facebook, make sure to hit that like button, like the page, share the show with a friend, and let's get started.
Let's go. Welcome to A to Z Sports here live on a Wednesday. I'm Austin Stanley. He's JT Runke. We are Nashville's on-demand sports network, going live around 8:10 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links to the show on segment by segment on our Twitter X timeline. Hit us up there at A to Z Sports. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok for more great Titans coverage. We also post on Threads. Yes, we do that. And you can follow us on Google. Right there, the Google preferred source link is in the chat right there. If you search Titans free agency or Titans roster cuts, Titans salary cap, and you want our content to show up because you love what we do, then follow us on Google. That is a great thing for us. Also great things for us, our sponsors. They do a phenomenal job of supporting us, and they help out you guys. Wilson County Hyundai, make them a part of your new car buying process in Lebanon, online, wilsoncountyhyundai.com. The Bone and Joint Institute, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Barton Drury Insurance Group, customized solutions for all of your insurance needs. They are local and online at bartondrury.com. And Window Nation, take advantage of this February deal. Buy 4 windows, get 4 windows free, and because it's the month of love, a little sprinkle of extra 10% off on top of that with windownation.com. So, all right, we'll dive into all this topic. We got 3 Titans captains that are on cut watch. We'll go through their salary cap situation. We'll go through all of these things. But this is with Robert Salah and this experienced coaching staff. Easton and I talked through it a lot yesterday. 327 games in this Titans leadership group on the football side of being a head coach or a general manager in the NFL. Yes, they've lost a lot more games than they've won during that time, but the experience is there across this football leadership group. And so they're trying to reset the culture. And I think a lot of people really liked what Robert Salah said about setting the culture for this team that has been looking for that ever since the guy who was coaching the Patriots in the Super Bowl left and was fired from this franchise a couple years ago. Here was Salah last week.
Now, again, it goes back to people, bringing in people who are capable of executing the vision of the entire organization. We're going to preach effort. We're going to preach strain. We're going to preach violence. We want great character individuals both on and off the field. And that's where Borgo and I, in terms of evaluations, is checking the box on making sure that these young men are actually capable of doing that. That's what builds culture. And we'll always maintain that standard. We're going to, obviously, with the I've always said that the best coach teams are the teams that coach themselves, but in the beginning, it's going to come from us. And at a certain point, as this team becomes veteran and it takes off and it understands what the standard is, the players will maintain the standard. And at the end of the day, the standard will always be the standard.
The standard is the standard. The players will maintain the standard, but the coaches got to create the standard. And I think that's correct. And that's what this football team needs. And JT, I got to walk through some of this. I don't know what minute deep into the show yesterday, but how my opinion is as good of a leader of a men Mike Vrabel is. I do not think he did a good enough job developing the second wave of leadership on the Titans roster when he was here. And I think that started to show up late in that tenure when guys got hurt a lot. You had some of that early leadership like Jarrell Casey, like Delaney Walker, some of those guys, Wesley Woodyard on defense too, kind of hit. Kevin Byard was traded towards the end. They kind of left the franchise. Their time was done. Derrick Henry is a great leader, but kind of a quieter type of leader. Ryan Tannehill is a solid quarterback leader, but then his play dropped off and fell off a cliff. There was not that second wave of leadership, and I think we saw that gap when Vrabel left of Jeffrey Simmons not being ready to be the leader of the football franchise. I think he has made tremendous strides over the last year and a half of that. And so now Robert Saleh is coming in there, and I think the Titans are better set up now with some internal leadership with Cam, with Jeff, and others. But, now we got to figure out who's going to be here and who's not going to be here. But what are your thoughts on the creating the standard from the coaches and then having that be passed over to the players?
I do like it. We talked a lot this past season how there was a void once Brian Callahan was fired and Mike McCoy just has to kind of get this team to the end of the season, how there was a lot of players kind of leading that room, whether that was a good thing or a bad thing, a lot of leadership being put on Cam Ward's shoulders that he may not have necessarily been ready for early on in his career. But I do think that it's the best way to go because Robert Saleh, if you want to maximize the most out of players and get the best out of maybe a middling player or the depth that you definitely need here, you need to have that culture be set by the coach that can then extend to the players. That's the really only way to do it. And I think that's something that Robert Saleh is going to want to come in and really do quickly, and especially attack it with the young players. Because like you said, the whole thing with having the players continue to build that culture and keep the leadership around in the locker room is by installing it in the young guys. You talk about how Vrabel didn't do that. You can add a guy like Harold Landry in there. Like there was so many quiet leaders in that locker room that just never stepped up towards the end, that you could tell once Vrabel was gone, they just kind of didn't want to become vocal because that's kind of what they knew. So it's important to establish being vocal, being involved, being the communicative guy in the locker room early on that Robert Saleh wants them to be, connecting with everyone and anyone in the locker room, keeping those connections and relationships alive so that you can really continue the leadership on and on and on without the coaches having to get back involved.
Yeah, for sure. And I think like the difference of being a leader and being a good teammate versus being a vocal leader and being a leader by example, because Bork says on cue, Harold Landry hates public speaking. Harold Landry is a great teammate, is a hard worker, goes that extra mile, takes care of his body as much as he possibly can. He just doesn't like talking. And that's totally okay. And one thing that I don't know if we're going to get to later on in the week as the Super Bowl approaches, but I've gone back and listened to some Mike Vrabel interviews preparing for the Super Bowl because I missed the championship games because my power was out. So trying to kind of get my mind in that mode of, hey, this is the Super Bowl. Was Mike Vrabel said one of the biggest things that he's learned from going from his first head coaching job to his second is that it's okay for us to have different personalities as long as we have the same mindset, right? And I think when that stands out to me is maybe Harold Landry doesn't have the same personality as Mike Vrabel, but Harold Landry loves Mike Vrabel, vice versa. But some guys that maybe rubbed with Vrabel the wrong way, maybe they didn't have the same personality. Maybe they didn't have the right mindset or the same mindset as Vrabel, but there was a lot of tension and friction with a portion of the Titans locker rooms over the years. It wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. It wasn't all busting with the boys type relationships with Mike Vrabel. There was a lot of those. There was a majority of that, but Mike Vrabel does wear on people if they are not cut from that same personality cloth. And maybe I think that's something that Vrabel learned a bit because he's talked about that quite a bit. So, okay. We've got another clip to play here. And then JT, we had an order that we were going to go in with these three captains. I'm going to shuffle it a little bit because I think that makes a little bit more sense. So let's hear from what the Titans coaching staff is doing right now, what they're doing this week as they are in the building, working and evaluating the roster.
You know, we obviously played this group a little bit later, so we have a good feel for the young nucleus that's here, and there's a lot of exciting guys that we're all excited to work with. Obviously, there's still a lot of work to do with regards to evaluating the roster and getting with Borgo and his staff and seeing where we're at. But again, it's to be able to sit here and work with guys like Jeffrey and get to work with a guy like Cam and all the different pieces around him, and it's going to be really exciting to get this thing going.
So, one guy that Robert Saleh did not play against when the Titans went to San Francisco to play the 49ers was Calvin Ridley, because the Titans' highest paid wide receiver, the guy who is the biggest cap hit on the roster upcoming, was on injured reserve with the broken leg. And Calvin Ridley is a hot topic here. He's on the graphic, and I guess we're just going to go left to right here on this graphic. We're going to talk Calvin Ridley. We're going to talk Tony Pollard, and then JT will kind of give us an idea of another captain that might be a weird fit for this Robert Saleh squad and scheme. So we're going to ask this question, and JT will let you toss this in the chat. Should the Titans keep or cut Calvin Ridley? Should the Titans keep or cut Calvin Ridley? We will go through his contract situation here in a moment. But first, JT, if you could tell us all about our friends at the Bone and Joint Institute.
Yeah, the Bone and Joint Institute, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedics and sports medicine. Don't fumble your recovery, like the graphic says right there, because whenever you get hurt in life, you have to know who to trust. And that's why we here at A to Z trust the Bone and Joint Institute, which is located in Franklin, just down a quick trip of I-65. And they have over a dozen specialists who can help you through any type of injury. They have a state-of-the-art rehab facility on campus to help your recovery, and can do everything under one roof for your convenience, whether that's the clinic, testing, imaging, surgery, rehab. They've got it all. To schedule an appointment at that campus or at one of their satellite campuses, go to boneandjointtn.org.
And here's King VC right on cue. Shout out to lock in and like the show. Hit that like button, please. It goes a long way for us. JT, Facebook is about 50% right now. We could use some more likes on Facebook and on YouTube. I did just put up a YouTube poll here to get us through this first topic, and that is keep or cut Calvin Ridley. Keep or cut Titans wide receiver Calvin Ridley. I will show you his stats, the graphic for his contract situation right now. Look, the Titans did save some money because he went on injured reserve, so the base salary, for those that maybe are unaware, when a player's on injured reserve, they get half of their game check salary for those games they were on IR. And so Calvin Ridley missed some time with a hamstring, was not on IR, then came back. And unfortunately, his first catch on the first play of him being back on the field broke his leg, which just flat out blows, right? So I think that really sucks. So keep or cut. Here's the numbers, and we'll get to the YouTube poll and the comments here in a second with JT on Facebook and YouTube. So a base salary coming up, with his potential out is this offseason, where the Titans can cut him and only have $13 million of dead cap space. Now I'll flip it over here to the cap space situation here for the Titans. The Titans projected to have well over $100 million of cap space. And you go to that very far right side, they only have $500,000 of dead cap money.
Crazy.
Look at the Raiders. Look at the Jets. $75 million of dead cap space for the New York Jets. What in the world, right? So the Titans, what does that mean? It means the Titans can grow that salary cap space tremendously if they cut some guys like Calvin Ridley. So Calvin Ridley, they would cut him and save that $20 million of base salary. And the dead cap space, if I'm correct here, I believe the dead cap of $13 million is his signing bonus that he already has in his pocket from when he signed the deal initially, which was $20 million of signing bonus, prorated $5 million a year over the 4 years. He did the two, so that's two of those, 5 plus 5, 10. Then a roster bonus of $1 million each, which 1 plus 1 equals 2. Now we're at 12. And then the active game roster bonus of $500,000 over those next 2 seasons gets us to that $13 million plus of dead space. So they'd save $20 million of base salary this year and $20 plus million of base salary next season. So we go now to the chat, JT. Keep or cut Calvin Ridley, the Titans' most talented wide receiver?
Yeah, Ashley says he can go, LOL. Eric says cut. Austin says cut. Rooney says cut. Corey says he would ask for a restructure or to be cut. So that mysterious third option there, which I guess is fair.
Let's talk about a restructure.
Yeah.
And because I think every offseason we should have check-in points to define and describe what exactly a restructure means.
Correct.
I think a lot of people jump in, fans that, look, you guys are doing other things for a living, right? You're not paying attention to the NFL salary cap, and I certainly don't all the time either in what the rules are. But a restructure means it does not mean a player is taking a pay cut.
Correct. You're just simply moving that money down the line. You're converting base salary into signing bonus. Yeah.
Most of the time. So what does that mean? It means that like I said, signing bonus is a prorated salary cap hit over the rest of the year. So what they could do is, example, for Calvin Ridley, I'll put up his graphic up here just to see what a restructure could look like. Let's say the Titans want to restructure $10 million, half of his base salary in 26, into a signing bonus. So what they could do is then Calvin Ridley would get $10 million in his pocket 21 days after he signs the restructured deal. So that's cash there. Then you would take that $10 million and you would prorate it. Maybe you add 2 void years on top of this. And so then you would add maybe the 10 million would spread over those 2 years or the 4 years left on that deal, including the 2 void years. So his cap hit would drop this year from 26 to say, let's say 18 or 19. So you'd save $8-ish million of cap hit this year and probably around the same. You'd probably have to do the same thing next year. So the Titans don't need to do that because they have plenty of cap space.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. I think I kind of agree with you there because it's not like this number that he already is getting paid is factoring into that free cap. No, it already is. What the cap number is right now is the cap. Like, not just because Calvin Ridley's coming back doesn't mean it's going to eat into that 110 some odd million dollars that they have free. Like, that's still what they're going to have free. So a restructure, I guess, if you're looking to go big game hunting, could potentially behoove the Titans to do that, but it's not necessary there.
Well, honestly, you can make a case that a restructure could hurt the Titans in free agency because of a cash flow situation, because the Titans are going to sign these new free agents. And, Easton and I talked about this on Monday. If let's just say the Titans sign a free agent cornerback that's near top of the market. I don't know. Let's say that cornerback gets $60 million over 4 years, 3 years or whatever. And $15 million of that's a signing bonus. Well, that $15 million to this new corner is owed now. If you restructure Calvin Ridley, that's another $10 million owed now. if you don't restructure Calvin Ridley, then his $20 million base salary is owed over the 18 weeks of the NFL season. So from a cash flow standpoint, you probably want to not do that because you want to use as much of your cash right now for your new signings at free agents.
Correct.
Or a Jeffrey Simmons new deal, right?
True. Back to the keeper cut here.
Yes.
Cut. Eric says keep. Tall Texan says keep. Premium position. Cut here from a Ada Slamma, I think is how you say it. Nero says keep. AP with the scissors here saying cut. Jake says keep. The market is slim. The draft is slim. That's a discussion to be had there. Titans Kyle says keep. Keep him. He still has value in the wide receiver room. Bork says keep for now. Chris says cut. Ashley says cut him like yesterday. So already get him out of here. Keep. Nate's burner says keep. I'm just annoying Ken at this point. Joshua says cut. Jack says keep unless a ridiculously good draft pick compensation is given. IR Hoshi says cut.
What?
Brad says,
oh wait, is that for a trade? The draft compensation is given for what?
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. Like, I don't think you would get a comp pick if he cut him. No, he'd have to leave in free agency.
Exactly.
Yeah. Brad says sadly keep. Bear. I mean, listen, this is also fair. Cut broken leg at 31. No, thank you. Even though he's now projecting to be 27, 28 on paper, according to Calvin Ridley himself.
Right.
Keep unless you're trading for someone better. Keep. Once again, the restructure there. He's just resending his comment. There's plenty in free agency. D-Dread says cut. Ridley is a wide receiver 2 that get paid wide receiver 1 money. Calvin isn't worth it. Cut or restructure contract. Keep and restructure. Keep/restructure. We just went through that. MB says keep because you're replacing him with who? A-Rod says keep him. Still a young locker room. Need an old head in the wide receiver room for all the young ones. There might be a conversation to be said there that he may not be the best for the young wide receiver.
I don't know, man. I think Calvin Ridley gets a bad rap.
Potentially. I get what you're saying there. Yeah. That's fair. Maybe his own problems with himself and getting himself going on the field don't translate to the rest of the wide receiver room. Austin, I don't know if you want to go first or I want to go first.
I'll go first. I'll go first. I am team keep Calvin Ridley.
Okay.
I think, and Jack says people are missing the point. Where is the upgrade? Just keep him and let him walk in off his next year. Well, you still got another year, so you could cut him after next year, and you save another $21 million of cash if you don't cut him this year. You pay him; he's going to count $26 million on your salary cap this year. You've got plenty of space. We know that. The Titans are going to cut L'Jarius Sneed. That's the easiest decision in the world. That's why we're not going to have a show topic about it until it happens. But so that $104 million of cap space is going to rise when that happens. So I think you keep Calvin Ridley because I don't know what the free agent wide receiver market really, really gives you. And the draft class of this wide receiver group that we don't need to get into today lacks the bona fide dude, I think, the unanimously bona fide dude that the Titans could pick at 4, right? There's not one here. Now, that doesn't mean that there couldn't be a guy in this draft class that becomes the dude, right? Justin Jefferson was the 22nd pick overall, and he is the freaking man because he was knocked in right. Puka Nacua.
Round,
and so there's so many we know the wide receivers. You can get them anywhere, everywhere. AJ Brown was the 51st pick overall. DK Metcalf was like the last pick of the second round. There's all types of guys that go later in the second and third round plus of the draft. But there's not like the stud that can come in and be. There's not Malik Neighbors. There's not, who are some other examples? There's no Jamar Chase. There's no even Marvin Harrison Jr. Who was last? Was there what big wide receiver stud last year?
Ted McMillan.
Ted McMillan. Yeah. There's not, I mean, Carnell Tate's interesting, but I don't know. So I say you keep Calvin Ridley. You don't need to save the money. You have the money to spend. You got to spend the money on the cap. And Calvin Ridley was voted a captain for a reason, right? Like we're talking about 3 captains who are on cut watch. Calvin Ridley, I think, has the respect of this locker room because of how he works. Like in that clip that we played about maybe we can bring this up from Salah again because it's towards the beginning of this clip. Like Calvin Ridley fits what Robert Salah is saying at the top.
No, again, it goes back to people, bringing in people who are capable of executing the vision of the entire organization. We're going to preach effort. We're going to preach strain. We're going to preach violence. We want great character individuals both on and off the field. And that's where
I think what he said right there, effort, strain, violence, character on and off the field, Calvin really fits those descriptions. Now, you might not like him because he makes a lot of money and he drops the ball at times, but nobody practices harder every damn day than number 0, Calvin Ridley. Got later on in the press conference, maybe a couple times in the press conference, all gas, no brakes is something that Robert Salah says all the time. That's one of his catchphrases. Calvin Ridley is truly all gas, no brakes. The only brakes he hits is when he's making a cut on a dime on a route to create separation. He's really good at that. And so I think Calvin Ridley is respected. I've talked to him off the field at an event where he's like, man, all these guys that off the field, they go and smoke and drink and stuff and do a party. Like I don't do any of that. Like he takes care of his body. The broken leg was a fluke thing. Like, I think Calvin Ridley is a keep here because he and Cam connected. He and Cam are on the same page. Cam talked about he dropped Calvin Ridley and Lloyd Cushenberry all the time in the offseason as guys that were helping him get caught up to speed here. And I think Calvin Ridley should be kept. Now, how much is he going to be relied on? I mean, you hope a lot, but they've got a lot of spots to fill. If you cut Calvin Ridley, who's going to be your placeholder for the number 1 wide receiver, even if he's not a number 1 standard level for the long term.
And that's my big point here, Austin. If you cut Calvin Ridley and say, like, what is the alternative here? I don't think I feel any better if you cut Calvin Ridley and replace him 1-to-1 with an Alec Pierce or a Romeo Doubs. I really don't see how that gets any better. Like, I don't think Alec Pierce is a 1. I think Alec Pierce is a strong 2 with a couple things he does really well. I think Romeo Doubs is a 1 in 4 games out of the entire season for the Green Bay Packers in a very scheme-dependent, game-by-game basis type of offense with Matt LaFleur there. I still believe heavily that the Titans go edge over wide receiver with the 4th overall pick. And so if you didn't get either one of those guys, like let's say you go cut Rid, get one of Alec Pierce or Romeo Doubs in free agency, and then supplement with a round 2 guy, does that make me feel better than just keeping Calvin Ridley and supplementing with maybe like a Jawan Jennings and a pick in the 2nd round? Like I don't see
Jawan Jennings is going to benefit from being one of the better names on the free agent market if San Francisco lets him go.
That's true.
You also don't know, like Alec Pierce might not hit the market,
Exactly. Yeah. I think you look at what you're still at the end of the day, you're missing that bona fide wide receiver 1 guy that you just aren't going to get. Calvin Ridley still gives you the best chance to be that bona fide wide receiver 1 guy. There may be a conversation to be had that because Alec Pierce is younger, because Romeo Doubs is younger, that they can become that. I would believe it when I see it, but you're not pressed to get rid of Calvin Ridley right now. And if he's a guy that you can keep around for Cam, and we somewhat forget this, that Dable does have some history with Calvin Ridley, even if it was like 8 years ago at this point, but both of them crossed paths at Alabama. Like, I think you can potentially see a world where Dable gets the best out of Calvin Ridley. And once again, you still have, even if you keep Calvin Ridley and you don't do anything with him, you still have over $100 million in cap space. on a team that wants to be drafted and developed more than they want to actually spend that money. So there's really no world for me to see them cutting Calvin Ridley. Like they might, because of just the age, maybe the profile just doesn't fit what the offense wants to do under Dable, which would, I can see that as well. But that would mean they would have to do a heck of a lot more work in free agency and the draft to supplement that again. Because let's be honest, Alec Manor and Chimere Dike are still not, I still don't feel confident that they can be a wide receiver 2 in year 2. I don't see them having that necessary ability. Like they can get there by the end of the season, no doubt. But if you're starting the year with one of those two guys wanting them to be your wide receiver 2, I think you're actually worse off than you were before.
Yeah, I think obviously they need to add a wide receiver in free agency, but if like draft and develop is something that we're going to get sick of talking about, but
fair enough.
They drafted 2 receivers last year. Both of them have like positive rookie seasons as receivers, right? Obviously DK is an all pro bowler as a returner, but as a receiver, positive, 4th round rookie seasons. I think they're going to draft a guy at receiver higher than the 4th round this year. I freaking hope. I will have choice words for them come that Saturday. We say that every year.
Yeah.
We say that every year.
Fair enough.
And so I do think Calvin Ridley, and then we're not talking about Van Jefferson today, but they need to have another veteran addition in free agency that can be a part of the room, because Alec and DK are still not there. I think you want to draft your wide receiver 1 of the future. And I think you want Alec to be your 2 and Chim to be a slot of the future. And that being like 2027 and beyond. Right. So I think the bridge the gap is Calvin Ridley for that next spot. And I really like the idea of that, especially with, where you need to go spend your free agent veteran money elsewhere. So we were both on the keep Calvin Ridley train. And the poll on YouTube is at 62% keep, 38% cut. I was expecting not that.
Yeah. I mean, from the comments section here, it sounded like it was a little bit more 50-50 than that, but glad to see me and you moving the needle there, Austin. So pat on the back.
Yeah. And I didn't see the flow. If there was any like big time swings on the poll, I wasn't looking at it early enough, unfortunately, but 62% is keep Calvin Ridley. 38% is cut Calvin Ridley. Somebody said Van Jefferson needs to be cut. Van Jefferson has a 1-year expiring contract, so he is not going to be cut. He is going to be a free agent if the Titans do not want to re-sign him before the March free agency window begins on March 9th for the illegal tampering window. All right, so let's go ahead and end that poll. And because we've got 2 more polls to do today, and the next one is the running back on the graphic, and that is Tony Pollard. Keep or cut Tony Pollard. I'll go through his contract situation as well. I'll put up that YouTube poll too. So keep or cut Tony Pollard here on the show, and JT, you got that going. And while everybody gives their answer, let me tell you guys about our friends at the Barton Drury Insurance Group. Customized solutions for all of your insurance needs. That's where you should turn. BartonDrury.com is the website. Insurance is a crazy thing right now, and especially when you have some type of weather event like an ice storm where damage happens to people's homes, people's vehicles. You've got people's roofs, right? You're going to have a lot of these door knocking, a lot of phone calls from roofing companies. You need to make sure that you have the right insurance company to help you out for those situations. And the Barton Drury Insurance Group can take care of you when it comes to your home and your auto coverage, to be your broker to fight in your corner for these type of things. And maybe it's for other reasons. Like Zach and I use Barton Drury Insurance Group for multiple business purposes. They do our employee health benefits for our company, which is a big deal as we continue to grow. They've also got our workers' comp policy that's really a big deal because of the legal situation of having to have a workers' comp policy, and workers' comp policies being different state by state. And we're a digital company that has employees across a lot of different states that have different rules and different laws that I don't want to keep up with. But Barton Drury has us covered on those things, and they can help you out, whatever that is for you as well. Online, BartonDrury.com.
Yeah, if you're just joining in with us, we are talking about the captains of the Titans that we should potentially keep or cut, and we would appreciate it if you hit that like button. It does a lot more for us than you might think. Sends it up to the algorithm and whatever the algorithm may do, and sends it and puts this show more on Titans fans feeds. If you're watching on Facebook as well, hit that like button, like the page, and share the show with a friend. We also have a super chat here from Zachary Smith. He says, wanted to say love A to Z. Thank you for all the content you guys have been getting through the law. You guys have been getting, I guess, him through the Law Enforcement Academy for a brain break. We appreciate you, Zach, and the super chat. Thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for that one. All right. So I'll bring up the Tony Pollard contract. Okay. And then we'll go to the keeper cut comments in the chat. The YouTube poll is not yet ready, so I will work on that as well. So Tony Pollard's a different spot, right? Because you can cut him with just $2 million of dead cap because of his signing bonus. That's it, right?
Yes.
You can save yourself all that entire base salary. So there is zero more guaranteed dollars left on Tony Pollard's contract. So save 6.7. Do you want to keep Tony Pollard? I know a lot of people are very passionate about this one. So as I put up the YouTube poll, what are you seeing from the chat here, JT?
Yeah. First of all, cut with a lot of T's. So a very passionate cut there. Mike Bell says cut. Tighten up 8787 says keep. Austin says keep. Brian says bye Pollard. Let's see. Tall Texan says cut. Non-premium position there. Clint says keep Pollard. Brad says keep Pollard. Bork says keep. Titans Kyle says he kind of leans cut. Key says our running back is not a focus. Hybrid says keep Pollard. D-Dread says keep. Pollard ended the year strong. Curtis says cut. Cut today. Get him out of here. Keelan says keep him for nothing else, but he was a U of Memphis guy. Cat Nash says keep Pollard. Joshua Bailey says keep. Eric Castillo says only cut for a guy like Breece Hall. Corey also agreeing that he cut and then go get Breece Hall. Scott says I like Pollard, but he'd also prefer an upgrade there. Ocho says cut. Kenneth says keep and add a guy like Brian Robinson. Lee says cut. Clint says keep Pollard. Alton says cut Pollard and draft Love.
Running back at 4.
Yeah, big statement there from Alton. Key says worry about running back next year. Cut.
Do we want to go over the most recent running backs drafted 4th overall real quick?
Sure. I mean, is that what, Saquon?
It happened. No, Saquon went 2. It happened in back-to-back seasons. In the 2016 and 2017 drafts, the Cowboys drafted Ezekiel Elliott 4th overall. And then the next year, the Jags drafted Leonard Fournette 4th overall.
Lenny.
Then if you want to go back even further, Darren McFadden was drafted in 2008, 4th overall by the Raiders. So
fantasy football king Darren McFadden right there.
And Darren McFadden, it's been way too long. Was Darren McFadden a successful NFL running back? I don't remember. Trent Richardson, for people that Cole asked that, he was 3rd overall by the Browns that year and was just a complete failure. Leonard Fournette, playoff Lenny, showed up, but not for the Jags. So
fair enough.
Yeah. So running back at 4, Jeremiah Love's a really damn good player, but I don't know about that.
I can go first on this one, Austin, if you'd like me to.
Okay. The YouTube poll is up.
Okay.
So I
know you have some stronger opinions on this.
I will set you up on this.
Okay.
Because I want you to go first, because I was the entire season when Tony Pollard, especially when he hit his big run late and got to his 2nd straight 1,000-yard season with the Titans, 3rd straight 1,000-yard season overall in his career. I believe it's just Derrick Henry and Tony Pollard with 3 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons in the NFL right now, which is kind of wild. I've been saying keep Tony Pollard this whole time. I don't understand why people hate Tony Pollard so much. That the guy's a kind of a victim of the circumstance, but then it figured out at the end and he became really, really good. And the Titans offense started playing better as a whole when he started running better and the offensive line played better and everything worked better. What I don't know, and what I kind of want to ask you and why I want you to go first is Brian Dable likes to run the football.
Mm-hmm.
Does Tony Pollard fit, or does Brian Dable's offense have a specific running back type? A, and B, does Tony Pollard fit that type if he does have one? That's what I don't know to adjust my opinion of keep Tony Pollard for $6-something million. Who cares? He's a solid player. He was, again, voted a captain, right? Like we're talking about captains, guys voted captains by their locker room. So what do you think on that one?
Yeah, it's no secret that Brian Dable loves to run the football. And you look at the running backs he's had over his time with both the Bills and the Giants. You have guys like Devin Singletary. You have guys like James Cook. You have guys like Saquon and Cam Scatteraboo and Tyrone Tracy. Like he was a day 3 guy that in his rookie year, Dable maximized him. And he was a guy who I think almost came around to around 700-800 yards in that first season there with the Giants. And so it's no secret that he really does like to run the football. He likes a guy with some explosive, which is the reason why I'm not entirely sure that I totally agree with you, right? Tony Pollard still has plenty left in the tank. He was very consistent this past year towards the end of the season. And once again, he's had 2 1,000 rushing yard seasons. My question, though, is it's not a question of whether or not cut Tony Pollard because he's bad or not. Tony Pollard is not bad. My question is, can you cut Tony Pollard because there's better options out there? And it's an opportunity with this lucrative amount of cap space to find a guy to get better, to make this offense get a step up in year 2 with Cam Ward instead of kind of waiting for the year after the year. Because I look at the 2026 running back free agents, and what Tony Pollard is 29, right?
Yeah, he'll be 29 this upcoming season.
So before 30, but you look at the running backs that are going to be out there this year. 27-year-old Travis Etienne, 26-year-old Javonte Williams, 25-year-old Breece Hall, 25-year-old Kenneth Walker. Like there are some really intriguing guys who some of them, like Javonte Williams, have maybe revived their career with Dallas there. Some of them have been underutilized on teams like Breece Hall and potentially Kenneth Walker playing in that 2-headed type monster of an offense before he goes down. And now you look at what he's doing in the NFC Championship game, and he's just absolutely ripping it up. And so I wonder if this is an opportunity, not because Tony Pollard is bad, but it's an opportunity to say we can get 2 to 3 years younger, basically do the Tony Pollard thing again. But now you have a guy who has the extra speed, has the home run playability, has the ability to shed tackles and be more productive in the passing game. Like there are guys like an Etienne, a Javonte, a K9, or a Breece Hall that make me say, if you're able to get one of those guys, it makes sense to me why you would move on from Tony Pollard. Like I can see it both ways, right?
Yeah.
Like Tony Pollard is a staple here. He's been consistent. He's been reliable. But you look at that. You look at the behind the glass, behind the counter there, and you say, "Ooh, I kind of want that. I kind of want that in my offense." You know.
Tony is washed.
That's not true.
Crazy. And Nick says 29 is 25 per Calvin Ridley. LOL. Somebody else says 29 is basically 30. Which okay. Well, I mean, why we're not doing that. Austin adds that he's 28, turns 29 in April, so he will be 29. He's not like one of these late in the season birthday type things that gets weird. But again, like he's a 29 that doesn't have 7 years of being the full-time back on his legs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because he split so much time with Zeke in the first 4 years of his career in Dallas. He broke his leg. He came back and it was solid. And I think I'm still keep Tony Pollard. I think for now. back-to-back 1,000 yards on
Yep.
a team that won a combined 6 games is impressive because of how hard he ran when they were losing all these games when the games didn't matter. And when you're talking, I go back to what Robert Salah said, effort, strain, violence, and then culture and on and off the field. I think Tony Pollard checks all those boxes as well. I think Tony Pollard he's not DeMarco Murray, because I see Ben say he's DeMarco Murray for this version. DeMarco was a presence. Like, speaking of former Cowboys running backs, I remember when DeMarco Murray was traded for here, you felt DeMarco Murray turn the corner into the room. He had this gaze that you were just like, oh, damn, I don't know if I want to go talk to that guy. And then you would, and then he was like totally like cool, but he was serious. But when it was time for business, it was business. Tony Pollard doesn't have that intimidating feel about him. DeMarco is much bigger too. But DeMarco's a nice guy. I actually talked to DeMarco after he left the Titans in a couple of situations, but he's not that type of presence. But could he be that role of running back to pass the torch this season to the younger guy? And he's cheap. He's $6.7 million for a veteran running back who knows what to do. I say you keep him.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. Maybe just for the sake of being different, I'll go cut, because I do like looking at the shiny objects in the counter and saying, give me that. That's a easy way to be able to utilize some of this money to get better at a place where you don't necessarily need to, but it could absolutely help out on this offense. And I get the idea, and a lot of people were saying this in the comment section. I will struggle here to try to go find the comment again, but yeah, it strikes every time we say this, and then most of the good players at the position are re-signed, and then you are left with nothing better. Keep what you have, draft a running back in the 4th to replace him next year. And I understand that. However, you look at some of these guys, Travis Etienne, most likely going to re-sign. I have a hard time believing Breece Hall wants to come back to the Jets. Let's be honest. Like,
I
think Breece Hall is out. Breece Hall will absolutely be on the market there. Like, he will not be re-signing with the Jets.
The only way he's back with the Jets is if he gets franchise tagged and they can't trade him, and he's just the most unhappy employee in the world.
Correct. If you know anything about how the Seattle Seahawks upper management works, even without Pete Carroll there, they love to move on from their running backs and always have this dual threat type of running back tandem. Is that something that Kenneth Walker still wants to be a part of? That I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen. I'm just saying that's what you have to consider. It's not necessarily black and white. Like, yes, they're going to resign him or not. We know the history with the Dallas Cowboys and running back contracts.
Well, let's also kind of on the Seattle Seahawks thing. Remember, Zach Charbonnet just tore his ACL late.
Yeah.
And so now if you lose Charbonnet, do you want to start next season potentially as the reigning Super Bowl champs without both of those running backs to help get you there?
True. It's a conversation to have. Now, they have moved on before. Like, this is something they've done. But like those 3 guys, from Breece Hall absolutely hitting the market because he will not want to come back. The weird way they use their running backs and get running backs and, trade off running backs, things like that in Seattle. And then Jerry Jones with his running back contracts in Dallas. I think there's an avenue to those 3 guys, especially hitting the market. Also, sorry, there's another guy here as well. Like, and he was a little bit more down the list, but someone just brought that up. A guy that was just in San Francisco that they traded for. And I know he's not on that side of the ball, but Brian Robinson Jr. He is only, where'd he go? He was on here just a second ago. I've lost him, but he's 26. He'll be 27. Yeah. Like, he's another guy that you could potentially say has a lot of tread because he obviously was traded to the 49ers and didn't do anything all year, like sat behind Christian McCaffrey. He's a guy that you could potentially target as one of those underutilized guys and say, could he be a Tony Pollard type guy? Potentially.
Somebody's like, "Where's AJ Dillon?" Hey, that's hilarious. Like, what year is it?
AJ Dillon is living happily ever after playing Farming Simulator on some video game stream right now.
He hasn't had a carry since 2023. That's where AJ Dillon is.
Yeah.
So look, I'm going to keep Tony Pollard. I think you said you're like being distracted by the shiny things. So you're a cut Tony Pollard. 68% of the YouTube poll is keep Tony Pollard. So that's more people want to keep Tony than Calvin. But still, we are now 2 for 2 on keeping these captains. Again, these are captains. They were voted captains by the locker room. That will change quite a bit, but still have good leadership qualities as Robert Salah and this new coaching staff with this new regime under Mike Borgonzi in the front office, or trying to create that standard in the culture. All right, last person on the list. And this is one that JT said in the pre-show conversation that created this show topic. And so JT pointed something out of there might be an odd man out here because of Robert Salah's defensive scheme. But first, I'm going to tell you guys about Window Nation. It's buy 4 windows, get 4 windows free, plus an extra 10% off in the month of February. Sprinkle some extra love on the Window Nation deal there from January. Buy 4 windows, get 4 windows free, an extra 10% off the top on that. Call Roy or just go to windownation.com. And you can say book an appointment for a free estimate. Roy will come out to your home. He runs Middle Tennessee's market. He's a great guy, super pleasant. We'll give you the presentation on how the Window Nation windows can help improve your home from a evaluation standpoint, from an equity standpoint, but also from a performance standpoint of keeping the temperature in your home what you want it to be and keeping the outside temperature, whatever it is, in Nashville outside of your house. They can also do a lot of, they're great windows. I have them. I got them in November installed right before Thanksgiving. They really are great windows. Once it gets time for the spring and the warmer weather, they're so much easier to open and to have extra ability to have some fresh air in the house compared to our previous windows. WindowNation.com. They can finance them in so many different ways to make it easy on you, whether you want no payments for 6 months, 2 years, no interest for up to 2 years, whatever that situation is, they make it really easy to where you can afford them and save thousands and thousands of dollars with that deal. Online, windownation.com.
Before we continue, make sure you hit that like button if you're on YouTube. It sends the like up into the algorithm and puts the show on more Titans fans feed, so we appreciate you doing that. Also, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already and hit that bell notification so you don't miss out on when we actually go live in the mornings. And then on Facebook, hit that like button, like the show, and we appreciate you.
All right, so JT, you pointed out a Titans captain from a year ago, signed by Mike Borgonzi in free agency last March. You don't think fits Robert Salah's defense. What do you think about Cody Barton's situation moving forward?
The Cody Barton situation is interesting. I think there is a world where Robert Salah, because you talked about it, yes, he is a Mike Borgonzi guy, but you talk about the different scheme going from Denard Wilson to Robert Salah. Things are going to look a lot different than they did last year in terms of the defense that they're going to be playing. Last year, you played a lot of 4-3 defense under Denard Wilson with a guy like Robert Salah. And of course, Robert Salah at every stop has kind of changed and molded his type of defense here. He is going to play more of a 4-2-5. He's going to use a lot of heavy nickel packages, using a big nickel safety type in the rotation there. And then on a lot of obvious passing downs, there is a lot of history of Robert Salah using just one linebacker on the field at a time. And so you look at what they have right now in that room, the young guys, like a rising, emerging guy like Cedric Gray, who Robert Salah historically has kind of created and molded these linebackers out of nothing and made them into stellar players. Could a guy like Cedric Gray become your number one? You have James Williams as well. Like, there's a world in which you look at this class as well. This is kind of a Senior Bowl tie back in here, but guys like Harold Perkins, guys like Kyle Lewis, guys like Lander Barton, three guys who really showed up and showed out at the Senior Bowl. And you say, is there a world where, yes, Cody Barton off the field, great locker room presence, is a guy who really fits into that all gas, no brakes type of mentality. But is there a world where that kind of conflicts with what Robert Saleh wants to do on the field? Because obviously you're the guy that you are in the locker room is the guy you are in the locker room. If you can't fit into the scheme, you can't fit into the scheme, right? And so I think there's a world where you look at a guy like Kyle Lewis from Pitt and you say, can we roll with Cedric Gray feeling good as our linebacker one, and then bring in a guy that Robert Saleh really likes as an early day 3 target? I think there's a world where that actually happens.
Okay. Curtis says, all breaks Barton, bro has no gas. And I like Cody Barton's also an easy target. He had some interceptions. He made some plays. He had the pick 6 that catch you in the game against the Chargers. Like, I don't know what is Cody Barton's biggest knock? Like the fact that he doesn't play well in space.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things.
But Cedric Gray doesn't either.
Right, and that's the thinking, right? That bringing Robert Saleh in is going to take Cedric Gray to that next level. Now, that's some wishful thinking on the part of me and potentially others. However, there is the thought that we've seen him do it before, and we've seen him do it with lesser talent than Cedric Gray. And I think you look at what, and you bring up Cody Barton's contract. It really is nothing. Like you get out of it this year, you're not losing a bunch, and it's not like cutting him is going to save you all this money in the world, right? You're getting, you're getting almost
you do
the
have
same
a potential out, but you're not.
Yes.
You're saving $9 million, right?
Yeah, it's just it really is
0.4 dead, so not much, not crazy.
It really is a play at getting younger, getting guys that fit the scheme in, but also getting faster. Because I think the knock is that, Cody Barton maybe doesn't have the step that Cedric Gray or James Williams has, or maybe a younger guy like that would have in this defense. Certainly does not live up to the coverage type of play that you need from those single linebacker sets for the Titans. Now, obviously, with them having almost negative corners right now in their room, you kind of would think that you're going to need to rely on your linebackers a little more. But I think you look at Barton, you say, he's a guy I could see on the outs who was a captain.
I just don't. I'm not going to buy into this one either. So I'm going to keep on all 3 of these guys.
Okay.
I just don't. Cedric Gray is at his best when he's playing downhill, and we saw that flourish at times. Cody Barton is not a downhill guy. He's kind of he can do everything all right type of guy, and I think it's an okay situation. Like, he's a higher floor player but a lower ceiling, and that's totally fine. You're in a spot where you've won 3 games the last 2 seasons. You keep higher floor guys because you're trying to develop guys with higher ceilings behind them. And so I don't think there's any harm in keeping Cody Barton because of the cash situation. You're good with cap space. He's a leader. He can help whoever that next day 3 pick linebacker is make some strides in the classroom that can translate on the field. So I think you keep Cody Barton because I don't see any risk in that.
Yeah, there is an argument to be made there, and you're right. You are right. King VC puts it here: jack of all trades, master of none, which I think is a funny way to put it, but you are kind of right. And there may be a way of looking at it and saying, yeah, maybe you do continue to have Cedric Gray as your linebacker too, continue to have him 1 year in the Salah lab, and then go into next year feeling very good about him. Maybe it is the year before the year. I might just be a little higher on what Cedric Gray can do, not necessarily just being a downhill type of guy coming out from UNC, one of his biggest traits was that he was a guy who excelled in coverage. Now that kind of has fallen off because he did miss that entire first year. And so he's lost a little bit of that, but I think there is a world where that does happen.
So King VC says, jack of all trades, master of none. Sure. But do you know the full quote of that? Because that's the first half.
I don't know.
The full quote is, a jack of all trades is a master of none, but oftentimes is better than a master of one.
Oh,
so
okay.
It's actually, the full quote is a pro jack of all trades quote, not the master quote. So if Cody Barton is the jack of all trades, oftentimes is better than a master of Cedric Gray playing downhill in the run game.
Well, if you want to put it like that, I mean, it's fair.
Cedric Gray is getting better at coverage. I just don't ever see Cedric Gray being like a great coverage linebacker.
For sure. You kind of need one of those in Robert Saleh's defense, though. And that's my big concern here with this defense, and where you look at it and say the scheme, and this is something we'll get into all offseason, but the scheme is like, where does that rank in terms of having the guy in the locker room outweigh what you need on the field? And I think that'll be a huge question going forward. And you have all this money. I think there's a way to upgrade as well.
Yeah. So you officially went cut, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I kept all three. You only kept Calvin Ridley.
I did. And I could go either way on Tony Pollard, but for the sake of the argument, I went cut because
yeah.
I think Breece Hall would be fun in Nashville. So
the chat poll vote was keep Calvin, keep Tony. It is cut Cody Barton 57%. So
yeah,
Cody Barton, the guy who saves you the least, is the one that chat on the poll, at least, is the cut candidate there. So interesting. Okay. All right. I like this exercise. This is the beginning of the true off-season topics and off-season decisions that we have. So we'll continue to have these fun conversations. But anything else, JT? Are you ready for some trivia?
I think I'm ready for some trivia.
Sweet. Here we go. Let's do it. Sports trivia time. Shout out Wilson County Hyundai. Make them a part of your new car buying process in Lebanon online. WilsonCountyHyundai.com. JT, I will share my screen. As we all know, my screen takes forever to share. The work has begun, so
all right,
I'll let you flip it over. All right. Here we are. Let's see. I'll see if I can get us a zoom in here. All right. Ann was on the show yesterday.
Was she really?
Yeah, but I haven't seen her today. So do we have an over-under vote?
I'm not seeing it. Well, actually, one more thing. Someone asked, Vols says, who is the upgrade for Barton? Just some names. Walker, Quay Walker from Green Bay is out there. Devin Lloyd is out there from Jacksonville. Devin Bush is out there from Cleveland. Like, there's going to be some really intriguing options here who are younger than Cody Barton that could come in. So,
linebackers are very they move a lot.
Yes.
They're mercenaries. All right. NFL around the
Bussin'
board.
Bussin' Diamond is giving us 3.5 minutes. So that's Joshua's giving us 4:15. So we want to take his line instead. And where is Orlando?
Orlando taking the day off? It's probably February. I understand.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. So let's we'll do as fast as we can.
Alrighty.
All right, NFL, here we go. While he never attempted a pass during the season and playoffs, Jim Sorgi was the backup for what 2000 Super Bowl winner? That would be the Colts.
All right.
History. Gandhi became the first Indira Gandhi became the first female prime minister of what country in 1966? I don't know. What
Indira?
Beats me. I don't know what countries mean or have prime ministers.
Bustin says India. Sure. Run it.
Cool.
Right.
Television. First appearing in 2008, Stefan was a recurring character on SNL, played by
That's Bill Hader, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Movies. Losing to Green Book, this Marvel movie was nominated for Best Picture in 2019 at the Oscars. I have no clue.
Green Book year before like Infinity War and those. I think it's Black Panther. Black Panther was definitely nominated for Best Picture.
Yeah, Bustin' Diamond says Black Panther.
Okay.
Which one? Just the first one?
Yeah, the first one, not Wakanda Forever.
Okay, music. This Asian American hip hop EDM group had a 2010s hit with Like a G6 and Rocketeer. I don't know who produced Like a G6. It was ringing in my ears for a couple of years in a row, but I don't know who did it.
I got no idea. Far East Movement. Listen, Bustin' is on a roll. I'm willing to okay.
Beverages. Founded in 1882, this brand is known for sparkling fruit beverages, seltzers, spring water, etc. And its mascot's a white furred variety of bear. What?
Isn't that just Coca-Cola? But like they don't have sparkling fruit beverages.
White furred variety of bear.
White furred.
I know Polar. Polar. Yeah, we actually have those in the fridge. Did not know that brand was that old. NHL introduced in 18 Gritty.
It's the Flyers.
Man, this is up my alley. NBA. During the 2008 draft, the Grizzlies and T-Wolves swapped 3 and 5 picks in a deal that involved this USC player that would be Mayo. Oh, yeah, Mayo.
Sure.
Celebrity mashup. Oh.
What that is, I feel sorry for the
both
person in the middle.
The middle is we got Bradley Cooper
on the outside.
And then we've got the guy who plays
Michael Caine says Bustin'.
Yeah.
Bro, Bustin' Diamond, if this is right,
boom.
Oh my god. How easy was that board? That must
was
have been
the easiest
easier
board
one, right?
ever.
Yeah.
Easiest board ever.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I mean, the only one that I didn't know was the movie. I think was the movie in the history. What was the TV one? I forget. Yeah.
Good SNL bit.
That was.
Well, yeah, the music one also was, I think, took us the longest.
That's true. I
have no idea who they are.
It took me a second on.
Like, I know who they are. I know those 2 songs, but I would never have told you that was who it was. Wow.
I need help on the Michael Caine name.
So you know what that means? That means me and Easton are going to go like 550 tomorrow.
That's right. Jeez.
Yeah, Black Panther was like nominated. It was crazy. I was like, really?
Okay.
I remember that year. It was a good movie.
No red. And really no dark orange either. The hardest one was just 29%. Easy board.
Yeah.
Easy board. All right. Sometimes you need some layups. Take them when you get them.
You do. Yep. Exactly.
All right. Make sure you guys hit the like button, like the show, and we will see you guys tomorrow morning. Buck Rising live tonight for prime time at 7. And he'll catch you guys then. More content across the socials and the website, A to Z sports.com/Titans throughout the day. Catch you later. Appreciate it.